Hello everyone, I'm Bar.Jonathan. This is The Insight on Equinox Television. We are broadcasting from Cameroon's economic capital. Well, in this edition of The Insight, we're going to take you into the nooks and crannies of the national dialogue convened by the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya. Some have said that event is a historic event. It is going to be a historic event with lots of expectations and results intended to take Cameroon out of troubled waters, or better still, the northwest and the southwest regions of the country out of the socio-political and security crisis hitting those parts of the country for close to 3 years today. However, others have said it is already a failure with regards to the manner in which it is organized, with regards to what has been happening since the President of the Republic announced the national dialogue, with regards to the consultations being carried out at the level of the Prime Ministry in Yaoundé, and also at the level of the regional and divisional headquarters by governors and senior divisional officers. Some think that is simply going to be a failure. It's not going to solve any problem with regards to the Anglophone problem in particular. Stay with us and meet our guest in this special edition of The Insight. Our first guest in this special edition of The Insight is one of those who think that the national dialogue convened by the President of the Republic of Cameroon is already a failure with regards to the manner in which it has been organized, and of course the consultations that have been going on at the Prime Ministry and at the level of the regional and divisional headquarters. And of course his name is Chief Dr. Joseph MOFOR. He is the president of the Citizens' Rights and Duties Association, CRADAM. He is, of course, the traditional authority from the Baligan land in the Central Subdivision Northwest region of Cameroon. He is equally a jurist. Chief Dr. Joseph MOFOR, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Bar.Jonathan. It's really a pleasure to be with you in this plateau as concerned to the national dialogue instituted by the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya.
You're one of those who think that it is not going to yield the expected result. It will not solve the Anglophone crisis. It will not lead to a restoration of peace and normalcy in the two Anglophone regions of the country. Why do you think so?
Yes, Mr. Bar.Jonathan, if you can look carefully to the consultations on the fee, it's already a big failure. As you can see, you will not take from my mouth, because both of us, we have the eye and the ear to listen. If you are having problems in your own, let's say, house, and neighbors have been called to come and settle the problem without you, I don't know how they can come to a solution to that problem without you being present, you the consent. I will equally quote one example. Just look the conflict of Nigeria with the Bakassi, with Nigeria and Cameroon with the Bakassi Peninsula. Had it been, they go to the International Court of Justice, as Mr. Maurice Kamto, who was the barrister to it, without Cameroon being there, how would it have looked? How would it have come to a solution and a good judgment that we won the case? Look at the case of Northwest and Southwest. The head of state has really said 200 people should be of these two regions. But you look the list, they are not even up to 50 that they have joined them to be on the crisis and to the national dialogue, which is a failure already. I personally, that I visit at Makape Misoke, where the headquarters of this association is placed, with a letter from the Geo of Douala 5, my Geo. He's from the trouble zones, southwest. If in the whole littoral, a man from that place has not even been called to represent the Anglophones that they are of the littoral region and from the trouble zone. You can imagine. They pick people that are not from the zone. They don't know the grassroots, how the crisis happen with people there. They are in trouble. They have no means in order to survive. They are calling people they don't know anything about the crisis to go and dialogue what? To go and present which difficulties of the population to the dialogue.
The President of the Republic said he wants to dialogue with all the sons and daughters of Cameroon, and with regards to the Anglophone crisis, which is the major concern of that meeting, consultations have been going on, and he even said that even armed groups are invited, and the Prime Minister has been receiving elite and some persons, even though most of them are militants of the CPDM from the two Anglophone regions of the country. There are delegations from the southwest, from the northwest, that will be taking part in the dialogue.
Imagine, we have 10 regions, Mr. Babila Jonathan. We should be frank. We should stop telling lies to people. We should not stop fooling Cameroonians. It is not fair. This is not the olden days. We should stop telling lies to Cameroonians.
Who is telling lies? Who is fooling? Who is deceiving Cameroonians?
The head of state have instructed His Excellency, Mr. Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute, to carry the dialogue process. The team he has formed to carry the process, they are not telling him the truth. He can't do everything at once. The people are not the people at the right place. They go around telling lies that people that they have been invited, they are from this region. They are not from this region. If you can look the list, just look their origin. You have nothing to tell Cameroonians. The dialogue is a big failure. Nothing can make the dialogue to stand as the head of states one. Let us be frank. Let us be frank. Just look, for example, me in person talking in this plateau. I registered 314 displaced persons just in Makepe. Not only me alone. They are representatives from the southwest region that they equally registered. If you can just get Makepe, that small village, it carries more than close to 1,000 displaced persons there. But the government have never made an attempt to come to them, to rescue them, any situations of help. You can imagine. Others have even died because of miserable life. Because of hardship, frustration, stress, and trauma. Many have involved themselves to all sorts of fraudulent activity just to survive. And today, me as the president of the Citizens' Right and Duty Association, CROUDA, Association des droits et devoirs des citoyens, I list all the list to the Duo of Douala 5. No points of view. The head of state have not made any item. This is an acknowledgement copy of the letter I transferred since 14th of November 2018. Nothing has been said on that letter. But to the dialogue, I see some of the proposals that were made. We made 40 proposals in our association. We have never been called to question whatsoever. You go to the Minister of Territorial Administration. We fired the same letter that same date. Nothing has been said. We have all the acknowledgement copy. A whole organization which is not doing anything with politics. Neutral people that they could have been invited to the dialogue, they have not been invited. But you will see governors. You will see people of the CPDM. You will see inspectors of taxations being invited to be members of the dialogue, and they are not from that trouble zone. I'm just talking.
Are you saying that these people are not credible enough?
They are not credible. They are not the people at the right place to manage the dialogue. Yes, the head of state has said they are going to invite the secessionists. Let the call also like that. The secessionists.
There's some invitations to Magba, to Ayabacho, to
Mr. Babila.
Anu and so on.
If it's true, the glory be to God. If it's true that they have been invited, let the glory be to God.
But the question is their security and safety. The guarantee that if they come into this country, they're not going to be arrested. That is where there are lots of unanswered questions.
The Prime Minister will have the best answer. You will not take from my mouth, Mr. Babila Jonathan. The Prime Minister will have the best answer to that question. To his team, we don't know. My ideas can remain my ideas for the guarantee. But he has been given that opportunity, given that authorization to manage the dialogue. That's the reason, my last interview, I say, we should all meditate and concentrate, even the ancestors of Baligam lands. My phone, my paramount phone Ganyam, has prayed a lot so that the man that has been given that power to manage this crisis, God should protect him, because it's a delicate mission. It's really a delicate mission.
And some have been questioning his credibility to manage that event, considering that he's a member of the CPDM, he's a member of the present regime.
No, Mr. Babila Jonathan,
party to the crisis.
You and I cannot doubt his morality. You and I cannot doubt his morality. He's the right person at the right place to manage the crisis. But the question is this: is he the one who have given all the names of these people to manage the dialogue, knowing fully that it is not what the head of state demand for? He said 200 people should be from these two regions, Anglophones. We are on this field talking like this. You don't know if you are from the zone. You are from the zone equally, Mr. Babala Jonathan. You are from the zone. You know what is happening on the field. You can't enter your village. We don't have army. We don't have gendarme. We don't have police to carry trucks of army to forward us there. Even my Minister of Territorial Administration, he's having the same problem. Like any other Northwesterners and Southwesterners, you can be kidnapped, and they'll be asking heavy sums of money, fabulous sums of money for ransom. Where will you get it?
So the problem that you've highlighted this far is at the level of representation. Those who are being called to represent the two Anglophone regions.
Yes.
Those who are being called to represent the Anglophones, the national dialogue. And you think that the persons who are being invited till now are not credible people, and not those who are supposed to represent the Anglophones. What other problem?
To my own regard to these people that they have been invited to present the Anglophones problem, I personally say let the list be rejected, because I cannot see any Anglophones from these two troubled zones to accept the list that has been given to the Prime Minister to forward to the President of the Republic. That list should be cut and reject. I declare those people incompetent. They can't manage the dialogue. It's a big failure. Let the head of state see how he can even postpone the date again to work out the list more, and to see the credible Anglophones, the 200 people he proposed, to come and sit down and manage the dialogue. And no proposal should be neglected. All the problems should be put on the table. It should not be a conditional dialogue. Be it federation, be it decentralization, since from 1996, since it was implemented, it has never been put to practice. Be it secessions, be it what, all should be put on the table. You cannot be going on the dialogue while excluding other points. That cannot move. It means a conditional dialogue. It cannot move. You have deposited a complaint. Let's just take for example. You have deposited a complaint. Penal responsibility is there. Civil responsibility is there. The judge, the magistrate that have judicial competence and conscience will say you can do close examinations to what, to the client's opponents, you can't do in a close examination. Will you be happy? Is that a court? You can't question the other party. You can't ask this question. Is that how they can do dialogue? Nothing should be neglected. All the problems should be put on the table. But if you can see the people that they have called them round, it's a game.
What should be done now?
Well, what I can propose that it should be done by the head of state. It is his right, it is his power. He's our president, he's our father, he's our grandfather. Let the head of state go back to a conscience of a father He is the only person. Look, recently, the Minister of Territorial Administration was on the field. Why can himself not stand? We are praying every day that God should give him good heart to go on the field and say, my children, I have listened long to your cry. Let us come together as one person. We are united. We have been enjoying peace for so many years. It is not killing ourselves, killing military. You are my children. Military are my children. It's not killing ourselves that will bring solution. Let us sit down and dialogue this situation. Dialogue and equally negotiation to come out. He must negotiate with the other party that yes, armies are your brothers.
He must negotiate with the separatists.
He sit down with them. Those separatists, are they not from the northwest? Are they not from the southwest? They are from other different villages. If Chief Dr. MOFOR Joseph is from the northwest, precisely from Baligam, and is a separatist resident in America, France, Britain, Germany, he's from a village. He calls the phone, call this your son there, and ask him what do he want. Dialogue with him. I need feedback.
Dialogue and negotiation.
And negotiation to drop arm. To drop arm. There's a commission of disarmament. What is that commission doing exactly? There's a budget for that. What has the budget been used to do with all this time? 3 years. 2 years after they appoint a commission. What has that commission done? Have they invited all this phone and dialogue with them and negotiate with them? Call your son. I'm from a village. I have a paramount phone. Do you think I'm doing something today? My paramount phone from Ghana. Call me that. Look, come to order. Chief Dr. MOFOR, I did not want you to do this again. Let us. Our brothers, our children are dying. They have no school. What is the best heritage they can give to a child? It's education. Look, for instance, a man like me. With so many children, I have 42 children. You can imagine. How will I manage to pay their schools? I have no farm in Douala. How will I manage to survive to feed them? Let the head of say, call all this phone, not neglecting. Call all this phone and dialogue and have at least
and negotiate
with them to call their children
with the separatists
for the stupidity they are doing. Killing armies are our children. Separatists are our children. There's nobody to be neglected. To the point other ministers will say terrorists. He, the head of state, know what they are arguing about. Let him come to a negotiation table with them.
Thanks, Chief Dr. Joseph MOFOR. You are a traditional authority from the Baligam land in Santa Subdivision, Northwest Region of Cameroon. You are a jurist and the president of the Citizens' Rights and Duties Association, CRADA. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila Jonathan. It's really a pleasure to express my mind, but in fact, I wish the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, and I wish His Excellency Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute to help this situation. We are suffering. A man like me, I cannot reach my village. This is 4 years. This is 4 years. People that are not from the zone have the situation that they think should persist so that they should make themselves more richer and richer. But Mr. Babila Jonathan, I will end up saying, there is no sin that can go unpunished. There's no sin that can go unpunished. Even if you are supreme, extraordinary supreme at what, there's no sin that can go unpunished.
Thanks for staying with us. We are receiving a senior legal mind, Barrister ACHU. He is a member of the Cameroon Bar Association and, of course, frontline militant of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party. Barrister, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Babila. It's a pleasure being here today.
President Paul Biya says he wants to take Cameroon, notably the northwest and southwest regions of the country, out of troubled waters, out of the crisis that has been hitting those parts of the country for close to 3 years today. And he thinks that he can do this through the national dialogue, which he has convened. But there are many other people who think that that's not the right step, that's the right direction. But you are rather optimistic that this is the right thing to do at this point in time, and that is going to yield the solution?
Yes, as of date, President Paul Biya is the president of this country. So he's only one who has a mandate of the people to decide, to take certain decisions. At the inception of this crisis and during all the upheavals that have been going on in the North and Southwest regions since 3 years ago, everybody has been clamoring for a dialogue. And at the same time, everybody was saying, Paul Biya has a knife and a yam. Okay, after shouting, crying, clamoring, preaching, praying, requesting for dialogue, we now have dialogue. At the same time, the same Cameroonians start criticizing, no, we don't want it. We don't want it to be like this and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, I don't know what Cameroonians really want. We cry for dialogue, now dialogue has come. Some people are still against it. I don't know why against it, but to me, the only way to solve a problem is by sitting down to talk about it at the end of the day. No matter how brutal, how insultive, how negative we've been with each other, the only way out is to sit down and sort this thing out.
Besides the fact that you are a member of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, which makes it logical for you to stand behind the President of the Republic, you are a legal mind, and you have been sounding so optimistic, so positive about this national dialogue convened by the President of the Republic. What makes you to be so confident that this is the right step towards the right direction?
You know, if you have a leader in whom you trust, despite difference of opinion, give him that trust, because at the end of the day, he's the one to decide. I trust President Paul Biya. That's why I say, look, I stand by him. In all decisions that he takes, I assume it, because he's my president, and he's a person I respect. So in as much as you have a legal standpoint of view which may differ, which may be different, but this thing is politics. And you see, and in politics, the rules are always volatile. They move according to circumstances. As of date, the present dispensation is that we should sit down and talk. And there's only one person who can recognize that sitting down to talk, who is called President Paul Biya. I have to go by it. It has nothing to do with legality or illegality. It has to do with how do we solve a problem that we have in our hands. If we have to talk about legality, we go to court. We are not going to court. We have to sit amongst us Cameroonians, look at each other in the face and tell them what they think. And the only way to do that is when there's a dialogue at the table, or sit down and talk. I hear, because I cannot be very, very affirmative, that they've created 8 commissions, and those 8 commissions will be manned by 50 persons each to decide on certain issues which have been predetermined. But again, you should understand that in politics, when they give you a hand, if you can take the arm, you take it. Don't sit back and say, why are they giving me only the hand? Because in politics, when once they realize that taking the arm is best for the whole body, they will take it off. And that's how politics is. And that's why I look at it. I'm not that type of person where they've opened the door for you to enter, you say, look, go and open the window too. Get into the house first. And if they don't want to open the window, see if you can do it. That's how politics is.
Some legal minds like you, however, talking about legality, think that this event, the national dialogue, will have no legal backing, will have no compelling force, nothing that is going to compel both parties to either come to a compromise, to either be forced to implement what will be decided there. And so the only way that it can be productive or it can yield the expected result is that the event or the national dialogue should produce a union treaty, for example. It should produce the union treaty that will go back to the roots of the problem, that will go down to the roots to solve the problem from the roots.
That's a school of thought. But you should understand that once you dialogue, the instrument of executing such a dialogue or the resolution of such a dialogue should be decided upon in that dialogue. If you don't go there, if you don't come to the dialogue and raise those issues and say, look, we would like that this thing goes either to a referendum or to the National Assembly or to whatever body you would like it to go to for implementation, how do you get it there? You have to sit down, talk about it, and decide as to what to talk about, what to agree as a resolution, and how to implement it. Everything has to be done on that table. It's not as if you do something else, you do it, and you allow for some other person to do whatever he wants to do with it. as if you're making recommendations. They are going to come out with resolutions or decisions which should be binding. And to make it binding, it is in that same meeting, that same sitting, that they have to decide which instrument we should be making binding on all in the whole country. You see, you talk about union treaty, whatever you call it.
The union treaty to legalize the marriage between the former South, East and West Cameroons.
So some people think that the marriage has been very illegal. That's what they think. But I always ask myself that, do we really think our parents were stupid to get into a marriage which is illegal? That's the first thing. Secondly, you're asking about the union treaty, that there should have been written, something written. What law makes it obligatory for it to be in writing? What law makes it that such a treaty, such an agreement between peoples should be in writing? When you were born in your village, was there a union treaty that your father wrote that you should be born in this village? It should not only be in writing. From the facts of it, we can see that we've been living together as one since 1961. That notwithstanding, how can we explain that?
Remember, it's often said that administration is written.
No, there's administration Francophone style. In Britain,
anything that's not written.
In Britain, most things that are being applicable, for example, the British that we love very much, are not written. In the administration, they are not written. They are the customs and usages, not written. Everybody just knows it has to be like that. I always ask this question. Way back in 1966, all the political parties West Congo would dissolve to be merged with Union Camerounais ACHU's party. How will you call that? All the political parties, including Endele's party. What happened in 1966? How do you term that reunion of political parties to form one? How will you call it? Okay, that's notwithstanding. In 1972, there was a referendum. You can challenge the legality or how good or how bad it was, but it was called a referendum. It means that a referendum is a way whereby the people decide on certain issues that have to do with them. There was a referendum in 1972. You can say it was poorly organized, or you can say there was a lot of tricks involved, but it's a referendum. Until you have a council by a court of law that this referendum, what you see was illegal, that you can now say there was no referendum, but there was one. So in 1972, something happened. The people decided to change the federal Cameroon into a united Cameroon. At that time, you and me were not born. Or I was born, but I was not of voting age. They changed it at that time in 1972. And so many things have happened. Cameroon has got so mixed up that you think it's very easy to separate it. I can bet you it's not possible. It's just not possible to do that now. Okay, you are talking about a treaty. So all those, they plebiscite in 1961, the 1966 merger of political parties, and the 1972 referendum, what does that represent for you and me? It was not the most powerful decision that has been taken in Cameroon. Because referendum is the top. It's the people who decide. Until it is declared illegal by the court of law, it is a referendum. In 1972, we decided to change certain things, and they were changed up to this date.
Many are raising several questions on the credibility of those who are to take part in this national dialogue, on the organization, on many other issues with regards to the consultations that have been going on and so on, and even the issues that will be raised at that during that the national dialogue. What do you think about the fact that many people today are saying that President Paul Biya is masterminding the whole thing single-handedly, deciding who is going to be on the table, deciding what is going to be discussed, deciding on what is going to be the outcome, and some even think that the CPDM, your party, has hijacked the whole thing.
Apparently, what is going on now is what's called consultations. So they're consulting whoever and wherever you're coming from. Those things can be done online, as you've been organizing Ambazonia. As I've been organizing, Ambazonia has only been online and nothing else, not physical. Those who want to go by email, the addresses are there, and those who want to be physically present, the door is open. So you see, when those who matter, who think that it's high time for them to go, and they go, and those who like to just sit behind the scenes and complain, when you see others forging ahead, instead of forging ahead, you sit behind and complain that why is this guy forging ahead? Why him? Do you think all those going there were invited? So they have made themselves useful and say, look, what I'd like you to know, we have to participate in this thing. And nobody will stop you from going to see the Prime Minister if you want to go. Don't listen to people who prefer to draw us back.
But there are questions. There are many people who are asking questions on how those who are going to meet the Prime Minister for consultation, how those who are going to be on the dialogue table are selected, by who, and things like that, because many of the lists are simply filled to about 80% by Muslim militants.
Let me ask you, let me throw back the same question.
And something that they are not even Anglophone.
Who ask those who think that they are Anglophone leaders to determine issues for all Anglophones? Who asked them? So it is good for others, it's good for you and not good for others. Who made Sisiko Ayuk a leader? Who appointed him? Who voted him? Who made Boheba and the rest leaders? They call themselves leaders. Who? So when a legitimate government now sits and decides, you start challenging. Who? Why?
The major concern of that.
You want 8 million Cambodians? Are you saying that 8 million Cambodians should come and sit down on a table to talk about it?
The major concern of that meeting is the Anglophone crisis.
Sure.
And so the Anglophones are logically more concerned by this problem, and so they should be, even though the Prime Minister has given some assurance, according to what Barrister Agbobala said to the press shortly after his meeting with the PM at the Star Building, that Anglophones will not be outnumbered by Francophones. Mm-hmm. And so, but there are still people raising questions on those Anglophones who will be on the dialogue table, something that simply, for the simple fact that they are mostly militants of the CPN political party, they are not going to say anything different. They are not going to have another standpoint other than what President Paul Biya stands for, other than what the CPDM stands for. For example, decentralization. Nobody will stand for federalism from the CPDM, I guess.
No, but why do you want me to stand for something I don't believe in? I will always stand for something I believe in, no matter who is before me or behind me or besides me. I always stand for what I believe in. And you may be surprised that what will come out of this meeting may be even more surprised than you might even think. We are just speculating. And we have that critical mind of always thinking that when something is not being done by you, it is always wrong. Please, we should always give the other person a chance. Those who have the chance of meeting the Prime Minister, they are lucky. Not everybody can meet the Prime Minister to be consulted. Not everybody. It's not possible. And what you want to like or not, there should be always those who lead and those who follow. Always, everywhere. Even in heaven, it's like that. Somebody leads and the rest follow. It will always be like that. Whenever a car is passing, a dog can only back. That's how it's going to be. We can always shout, and which is good, because criticisms, they make those who are in power or those who have the right to decide to think twice. Because as people are criticizing, for example, in as much as we cannot agree on the same standpoint of view, it makes those who are going to take decisions be aware that, look, whatever decision I'm taking has to be supported by a good majority of the people. Because if a good majority of people don't support any decision, it may not work. And we should equally expect that in a society like ours, there will always be minorities who are very vocal. There will always be people who will always be against. No matter how good you want to be for, there will be always people against, which is normally democracy.
What will you tell those who think that with regards to the manner in which the dialogue is organized, it's no longer dialogue, but it's dialogue, or better still, a CPDM Congress meeting?
You see, those are pessimists who do things like that. I'm not a pessimist. I'm an optimist. I even believe in an enemy. I believe when you say you're my adversary, I still believe in you because that you're my adversary. So I'm very optimistic that one day things will look better. Because it's not because you're on the other side. That doesn't mean one day you will not be on this other side, you will not change, and so and I will not change, and things like that. No, we're in a democracy. But when once somebody sits down and think that he has the best decision for everybody, start by having the confidence of the people. Start by being the president of the country. Start by wanting things to be the way you want it to be. Otherwise, because if you're a leader, you sit in a back room and run your mouth and say things, it will end there. You end up having a black face with twisted head, always criticizing, always saying no to what other people say. What makes you think that this dialogue will not come up with the best for Cameroon? What makes you think? Is it because you say CPDM? I can bet you Not most of those guys who claim they're CPDM are CPDM in reality. Not all of them. But in any case, is CPDM not the party in this country? CPDM controls, for goodness sake, 3/4 of the councils, 3/4 of the assembly, and the president of the country is their president. That means they have a good majority of Cameroonians behind them. No matter what you say, CPDM is a force to reckon with. And again, you don't throw stones at a tree that doesn't have fine pears or plums. It is only when the tree is blossoming with good pears that you throw stones at it. We in CPDM, we expect those stones to be thrown. But we always do what is best for Cameroonians. We always follow our president, whom we think is leading Cameroon towards the right direction.
What do you expect from this meeting, from the national dialogue?
The first thing I expect from this dialogue is this Anglophone, this thing that Anglophone and Francophone nonsense should stop. The ambassador from Britain says he's not Anglophone. Who are you to say you are one? The ambassador of France says he's not Francophone. Who are you to say that? Look, so this denomination, this name called Francophone and Anglophone should be completely wiped out. To say, look, those of the English expression or those of the French expression. Cameroonians of this or that. Those things about English, Anglophone and Francophone should stop, because it now becomes so negative that I don't like it any longer. Secondly, I would like that by coming out of this dialogue, an Anglophone should be prepared to be the next president of this country. That's the second thing I want to talk about. I would like to know. And by so doing, all these issues about Northwest and Southwest will die off naturally. Because at the end of the day, I see that the issues that us of the Anglophone expressions are facing is the fact that we are not where decisions are being taken. We don't find ourselves there.
So issues, marginalization?
Call it what you like, but I'm telling you that that's where the problem is. We are not where decisions are being taken. We are not where, for example, if you look at the ministries of sovereignty, we've never been there. We've never been there. So defense, I think it's high time.
Finance.
Yes, you know them. So it's high time we revisit that and try it the way we from the former Southern Cameroons used to do it. Let's try that too. We'll try the system that was adopted mostly from France with a little mixture of what came from Britain. Let's now reverse let's do what President Kagame did. Let's try to transform Cameroon into a pure Anglo-Saxon country for once and see whether development will not follow, and see whether this so-called no-so crisis will not end, and see whether this animosity between Cameroonians will not stop. Because let me tell you again, Cameroonians love each other. What is happening is the vestiges of colonialism that is troubling us. Everybody wants to sit tight as if it's a British or it's a French. No, we are Cameroonians for goodness sake. We can have what we Cameroonians like. We can do things the Cameroonian way. If we decide today that the main language in Cameroon should be Fufude, so let it be. If we decide that the main language should be English, so let it be. If we decide that the main language should be Bamileke, so let it be. If we decide it should be Bulu, let it be. We are Cameroonians, we can decide what we like at any time. It's not because the colonialism came and divided us that we might think that we were different. We have found ourselves in this entity called Cameroon. Let's live in it in peace and harmony. Let's live like brothers. Let's be in the position that I look at you and tell you what I think about you without being afraid of reprisals. Let's live as one.
People should be free to talk.
People
should be free to talk,
to move,
despite their opinions.
Yes.
Are you saying that?
I'm very. That's what I'm saying. We should be free. I should look into the face of another Cameroonian and tell him what I think, without hurting him, without using a gun, without slapping him, but just talking, because he's just talking.
That opposition politicians, civil society leaders, and other persons who have standpoints that are different from that of the regime think that they are being stifled. They are not allowed to speak, and they are raising concerns over the ability to speak freely during this national dialogue, which they think that only what the head of state thinks only what the CPDM stands for will prevail.
I don't share the view that Cameroon stifles the opposition. You see, in a country where we have 300 political parties, no party should sit down and think that they are the best. Only elections can determine the force of a political party. Cameroon has free speech. We have freedom of speech. What I would like you to know, there are a few countries like Cameroon in this world that you can say anything you like. Those who are in what we call temporal detention, we shouldn't get ourselves mixed up with the fact that they are there because of what they say or what they represent. No, they are there because they committed offenses and they're being tried by the legal system. It is not political. It's just normal that if you commit an offense, you are being tried. So if they mix it up and put it in their thoughts, that shouldn't bind you and me. It's just a thought. They are free to think what they think. Has anybody stopped them from thinking? No. But I will always say that where they are is because of what they did. An offense against our laws, they should pay for it. We'll stop. They shouldn't mix it up. Because I remember way back in 1990, they cancelled political detention. It was removed from the penal code, and it has never come back. It used to be there, but it has never come back. So all those offenses that were political in nature were cancelled in the penal code. But you see, I don't really understand what's going on. For example, in 2008, when there was those rioting, in Cameroon,
the hunger protest,
the so-called opposition leader is the one who brought back offenses of that nature, of a political nature, into the criminal code, which can be tried only by a military court.
You're talking about Professor Maurice Kamto.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not calling any name. Okay, you're now facing you're now in that situation whereby you're being tried in the military court, and at the same time, you want to say you cannot be tried in the military court. Meanwhile, you're the one who brought the law. At the same time, you say you cannot be tried in the military court. You say no, you're a political detainee because you wanted to express yourself. Why wasn't he arrested when he declared himself president of the republic? They had to wait until he accepted the verdict of the Constitutional Council before being arrested? No, he was arrested for him and his own group were arrested for offenses against the criminal code.
Barrister, what do you think about negotiation between the government and separatists, or all those who stand for separation?
My first problem, I don't see any problem in talking. The first thing to me is that the separatists should drop their guns and be free to express themselves as they like. I don't believe they form a majority of Cameroonians of the English expression or former Southern Cameroonians. I don't believe they form a majority. I don't believe so. Because if they form the majority, they should not be using arms. Because arms is to constrain everybody by force. The mere fact that they're using arms means they don't form a majority. And I don't believe they have a majority of support. The majority support from former Southern Cameroonians. I don't think they have that. So even if they want to come and talk, to me, it's normal, provided that they renounce carrying guns. Because I can't see somebody carrying a gun and you expect me to talk.
But the fear is that dropping their guns, coming to talk, may simply mean that their fate could be either Konengi, New Bell, Bamenda Central Prison, Boya Central Prison, and so on.
I think the government is taking steps to make sure that they are secured. For example, those who are in the Firing Commission, have you heard anybody has been sent to prison from there? I don't think so. Why do you think that it will not be the same for them? If you come to because the government you want to create an enabling atmosphere. So it means if you come there, you are immune to prosecution. Automatically, you're immune to prosecution. So why don't they just go there to be immune to prosecution? They are scared of what? Those who are there were scared of what before coming. They are there, nothing has happened to them. We're just appealing to them that, look, cessationists, come to the table. I don't see anybody sending away. But you have only one problem. You carry guns.
And those who are in the diaspora are not carrying guns.
They are do they not say that they're the ones having their boys on the ground? They have their boys. My boys are going to do this. My boys are going to do that. They call those soldiers on the ground my boys. I don't even know if they succeed to feed them or take care of them very well. We call them my boys. When they call them my boys, what does that mean? Tell their boys to drop the guns too. You cannot be coming to talk while you ask your boys carry guns, and you yourself, you want to come and sit down and talk. How?
So Barrister ACHU, the national dialogue convened by the President of the Republic is a great opportunity, is a historic event. It's going to solve the problem. Is that? I
think I hold that view that this is going to bring out the best solution in the circumstances. Because you're not solving a problem, you need God's intervention. And you cannot speculate what God may do. But I say this dialogue is going to bring an opportunity for us to have the best solution to the problems that we are facing. The best. Circumstances.
Thank you, Barrister Julius ACHU, member of the Cameroon Bar Association and militant of the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement. Thanks for coming.
No, it is for me to thank you for inviting me, but just to remind you that most of those secessionist leaders were invited. I saw invitations. It's not cut on social media, unless you mean to tell me they were fake. But I see their names, and they will say they're invited.
They have confirmed that they have received.
Yes, and they've confirmed. So this is an opportunity. What does it take you to say I've dropped my guns? I have dropped my gun. Few words. The
problem is the guarantee to come home, take part in the dialogue, and then go back as free man.
Cameroonians are witnesses to the guarantees that the state is saying we are giving. You think Cameroonians are not stupid? They have said anybody who reports to Fire Ego Commission, anybody who took up guns and report to Fire Ego Commission, you'll be immune from prosecution.
You're covered by.
So why not take the chance? Why refuse to take a chance? If you want Cameroon to be, if you want to discuss among Cameroonians, why not take a chance? If you continue holding guns, it means you don't want to talk. Because with guns, you don't talk. You shoot.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.